Hello everybody. I thought I would come back to the topic of morality by analysing this discussion that Muhammad Ali, the Muslim lantern, has with a caller. I have experience of dealing with Muhammad Ali before, and this video that I've produced demonstrates his dishonesty. He has regular live streams where he invites callers to discuss topics with him. When the live stream is finished, he takes it down. Then he edits it and uploads segments that look favourably upon him. What you are about to see here is what I recorded live before he had the opportunity to take his live stream down. I will add an analysis, but I will not delete anything that either of these two participants say.
Okay.
How are you?
Good.
Okay. So do you have a question for me?
Yep. There's 5 questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Now these all start off. These are just simple moral questions in the beginning here.
What are you? Christian atheist? Who are you?
I'm agnostic atheist.
So where do you bring your morality from before asking moral questions? What is your yardstick of determining whether right or not? Because you're assuming they're wrong if you're asking them, I'm assuming. So you should have a yardstick to determine why they're right or wrong.
Actually, well, here I'll explain what how I think morals work, and then we can get into the questions, and you can see for yourself.
Okay.
Okay. So, I think morals are subjective. They come from the evolution of the brain with mirror neurons, with understanding that give rise to empathy, with an ability to think of yourself in another person's
Are you reading
position.
something?
Yeah, I wrote this before. This is my own words, though.
No problem. Okay.
So let me give an example. When I burn myself, I feel very unpleasant pain.
It's okay. You don't need to give an example. I want to ask you on what you said. You said they're subjective, which means that there's no objective morality, which means that there is no right or wrong. It just depends on the subjective opinion.
That's not what subjective morality means.
Really? Do you know what does the word subjective mean?
It's opposite of objective, and
so it's based on the subject.
Subjective means based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. This can be contrasted with objective, which can be defined as not influenced by personal feelings or opinions in considering and representing facts.
It is based on the subject and the situation and the circumstance, everything.
So the subject Mac and the subject Muhammad, if the subject Muhammad says eating pork is immoral, the subject Mac says eating pork is moral, the action of eating pork objectively outside of Muhammad and Mac, there's no determination of whether it's right or wrong because it's all based on Mac and Muhammad. If we were not there, it would not be neither right or wrong. So subjective by definition means that there is no objective right or wrong. It's just a personal opinion of what you think yourself is right and what you think yourself is wrong. But the action itself outside of you and me is not really right or wrong because it needs you and me to determine.
All morality is subjective. Once you agree on the criteria of a moral decision, then you can derive objective values. If we agree on well-being, for example, then we can objectively evaluate what is a moral or immoral decision based on its impact on well-being. Theists would say morality is decided by what's in their scriptures and that this is objective. This can only be the case if the participants agree on this.
Okay. So
that's why I said,
even with subjective morality, how many people would you say they think murdering innocent people is wrong?
Is irrelevant. It's still, if there's 1 or 2 or 3, because all what they're going to say to you, the people who believe it's okay, they will say to you, that's your opinion. I don't need to accept your opinion. It's your subjective opinion. I think it's okay. And you cannot enforce your subjective morality on others because it's not objective. So whether the majority believes in it or not, that still does not change the fact that it's subjective.
Most, but not everybody, has an inherent sense of fairness and empathy that developed through evolution over many generations of cooperative living. Some people have psychopathic traits or mental illness and so wouldn't see murder as wrong. You will never have everybody agree on everything. That's why society has laws with consequences for breaking those laws.
So obviously I believe killing innocent people is objectively wrong, but I have an objective standard of morality. You don't. So as an atheist, if you have a subjective standard of morality, if you give me your opinion about the questions you're about to ask, it will remain to be your opinion. And your opinion is not
I'm going to be asking you the questions. It will be your opinion.
No, but I'm going to answer you based on what I view as an objective moral view. So it's not my opinion. It's what the Quran and Sunnah say. Whether I exist today or not. So it's not my opinion. It's not subjective. Because whether I'm here or not, or whether any Muslim is here or not, the Quran is there still, and what is objectively right and wrong is still there in the Quran. It's not my opinion.
Setting aside the fact that the moral guidance from the Quran is clearly man-made, even if you demonstrate that it is from a God, that's still that God's opinion, and so it would be subjective. It would be objective if all participants agreed on it as the criteria through which moral judgments are made. The alternative is to prove that the God in question is able to make moral decisions using judgment that is far superior than what humans can, but that would be divine command theory.
Okay. But you're bringing your opinion based on your upbringing, so that's the difference between me and you.
Actually, you asked me to explain morals. I just wanted to ask my questions and get into the Socratic method to see if you actually know what you're talking about.
Okay, I don't need to get into the Socratic method. Socrates was not the only philosopher out there. I don't need to use his method. But generally, look, you said you will ask moral. I will let you ask your questions, by the way. But you said you will ask moral questions. So I'm establishing a reality first. Is that if you don't have a standard of right or wrong, if you ask these questions based on thinking the wrong, it's just your subjective opinion, and I can just say, okay, I disagree with your subjective opinion, and that can be a basic answer to your question. I don't need to give you reasoning, basically. You don't have something enforceable in order for me to say, okay, let me explain this. You're right. This is just, it's very important to establish that because you're about to ask moral questions. So go ahead if you want to ask your moral questions. After establishing that foundation, which is very important, you can ask your moral questions. I don't mind.
Okay. Number one, you see a child drowning in a shallow pool and notice a person that is just watching it is able to save the child with no risk to themselves, but is not. Is that person's non-action moral?
Someone who sees a child drowning is able to save him. He does not save him. That's immoral. Yes.
So that person is immoral?
That action is immoral.
Yeah, the action of not saving the child, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So
if there's nothing obviously stopping him from doing, because you're saying he's able to do it, he's able to save the child in that situation.
Yeah, I said
there's nothing preventing him from doing it. Then yes,
risk
it's immoral,
to himself
obviously.
or anything, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So why does God not save the child?
Because this life is a test.
This sets the scene for the illogical and immoral apologetics that will follow. Imagine there is somebody drowning in this river. Somebody standing on the riverbank could easily throw them afloat to stop them drowning, and we would all consider it immoral if they didn't do so. Yet if there was nobody on the riverbank, God could also cause lightning to hit the tree, which will cut a branch off to land in the river and stop the person from drowning. But if that's not done, then Muhammad Ali thinks it's a test and so is not immoral.
But
and if God could prevent all immoral actions from taking place, there will only be moral actions, in which therefore there will be no choice between moral and immoral, which means this life cannot be a test.
Somebody accidentally drowning is not an immoral action. It is an accident. Not intervening to save that person from drowning is an immoral action.
In order for a test to be there has to be two choices between right and wrong and between good and bad, which would mean that good and bad has to actualize in reality.
Well, I don't think the child's choosing to drown. So why doesn't God save the child when it's objectively moral that we should save the child?
I answered you by saying this life is a test, and that death of a child can be a test for his parents.
He just said the death of that child could be a positive experience. This is what religion does to human empathy.
You're just viewing the death of the child only regarding the child. But I'm telling you that the child is a pixel in a big picture. So that picture would be his family, would be people surrounding him. The death of a child is a test for the parents. The death of a child is a test for the family. So there's a lot of variables that you're not taking into account that is considered a test in this life.
Wouldn't an all-knowing deity have created a less cruel way of testing parents than allowing their child to drown?
And anyways, the children that die...
Should we not save the child?
Sorry. And the
should
children
we not save the child then?
The children that die Islamically, they go to paradise. If a child dies and goes to paradise, that's a reward for the child, not a punishment.
So by that logic, would it be moral to allow an Islamic child to drown, knowing that that child will go straight to paradise? Whereas if I save that child's life, that child could grow up to abandon his religion or commit other sins and so wouldn't go to paradise. If I follow that logic, then allowing that child to drown would be moral, and it would also allow God to test the family.
So if I would go to paradise if I die as a child, I would say, okay, dying as a child is better than living this life, and maybe being on the verge of maybe entering paradise or not.
After having done 2 recent videos on nihilism, this is the true nihilism, where this one life that you're guaranteed to have is not worth living, and so dying young for the promise of a paradise is better.
So you're just coming with the problem of evil, which is a very basic kind of argument that has been dismantled so many times. But I've already answered your question. That can be a test. The death of a child, if the child goes to paradise, then that's actually a reward. That's a merciful act towards the child. But that death can be a test for other people that are around him, his family members, his mother and father, etc.
Okay. So how is morality objective and from God if God doesn't save the child, but we are morally obligated to?
God is the source of objective morality. So he determines what is right and wrong for us to do. He is the standard of right and wrong. Whatever God does, because God is good, whatever he does is morally good.
This is just the divine command theory, part of the Euthyphro Dilemma. I've linked a video in the description which explains this in great detail.
Well,
he's the standard
God does
of right
not
and wrong.
save that
So
child.
you're confusing
is that
us.
morally
You're
good
conflating
not
us.
to save the child?
You're conflating us with God. I've already answered why the child was not saved. Now we're going and say, I don't like to go in circles. I already explained to you why that this life's a test. If you want me to repeat my answers, then we just hear in a circle. I already give you the answer. Whether you're satisfied or not, that's not my problem.
But the problem is objective morality.
Again, now you just said in the beginning of the discussion you don't want to talk about objective morality. What happened? Now you're saying you want to talk about
well, everything is connected. Objective morals from God, right? And objective morality is the idea that right and wrong exist factually, absolute, without importance of opinion, is a concept that some actions and beliefs are imperatively good or inherently bad, and that goodness or badness of those things hold true no matter who or what else you believe in.
I don't agree with this definition. That's your definition.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's the philosophical definition. Look it up.
Exactly. Why do I need to accept it? I'm a Muslim. I'm not a philosopher.
Okay.
I'm not the
so
student. I'm not the
student.
you can laugh it. You're laughing it out is not an answer. I'm not a student of Socrates. Socrates is not my God. Well, he might be your God that you're worshiping, but I'm not a philosopher. Socrates is not my God, and Aristotle is not my God. And I don't give a crap, literally, with all due respect, about what they say. They're just human beings existed in history. They can be right or wrong, just like everyone else. What they say is not biblical truth for me to say, oh, Socrates said it, therefore I'm going to believe it now. I don't care.
They're not the people that
so, with all due respect, I'm answering you. If you allow me to finish answering you, your God, whatever he says, is not relevant to me. I said to you that the criteria for us for what is right and wrong is Allah. Allah is the one who determines right and wrong. So it's not like the morality is an abstract concept that exists with it. Objective morality is an abstract reality that exists that you can touch on. It's an abstract concept, and that concept is based on the Creator. The Creator is the one who determines right or wrong. I've already answered that question. So if the Creator determined to leave that child, then there is a wisdom that action is good because he is testing the creation. That child drowning is good because that child goes to paradise eventually. So that is actually a merciful act. Now, you see that or you don't see that, that's irrelevant. But the reality is I've already explained it to you. And if we continue to go in a circle, then there is no point with discussing with you, with all respect. I prefer to, you ask a question, I give you an answer, satisfied or not satisfied, people can clearly see that I've answered your question.
So how are objective, dude, that doesn't make morals objective. You're saying that morality is objective based on Allah is not the correct definition of objective morality.
Your definition.
You tell me your definition of objective morality.
I just explained it. I said Allah.
The definition is what Allah says?
By definition, Allah is exactly. Allah is the truth. He's Al-Haq. And he's Al-Adl. He's the most just. These are his names and attributes. Therefore, whatever he commands is truth and just and correct and good.
It's okay. Okay. So when a child's sitting there drowning in a well,
I answered that
God
question.
does not
emotional atheists, they try to pretend I'm going to do the Socrates method, and then he's just making an emotional argument. He's trying to make an argument of a baby that, oh yeah, look.
Having realised that this discussion isn't going well for him, Muhammad Ali goes back to the common theist tactic of accusing an opponent who is asking tough questions of instead just making an emotional argument.
You're laughing at yourself.
Man.
You're
so defensive.
You want to talk rationally. I'm not defensive at all. I'm just exposing what you're doing. This cheap tactics. Either you want to do things rationally, or you want to play on an emotional level. You can go to some like Christians. Maybe they will like emotions. But here I deal with facts and reality. So if you have facts, you've already dealt with your questions. You have anything else to say? Go ahead. I'm giving you the chance.
Are you going to interrupt though as soon as I start?
I'm going to interrupt if there's a need to.
Yeah, okay. So you just finished saying that if God lets a child drown, it becomes a good thing, right?
I gave my answer. I don't want to keep repeating myself in circles. I said because the child goes to paradise, and I don't need to really repeat myself. I don't know, you like repetition a lot, but I don't need to repeat myself.
So why do you save the child?
Because this is a test for me. I'm not God. God is the one who creates the test. It's the equivalent of what you're saying.
The child's going to go directly to paradise if you don't save the child.
Do you want an answer to your question or no? The equivalent of what you're saying is a teacher giving a test to the students. Why is the teacher not giving the answers to the students when they're in the test? Because he's the teacher, he's not the students. The students are the ones who are dealing with the test. The teacher is observing the students.
Let's look into this ridiculous justification that the teacher is observing the student and is allowing the student to make mistakes because it is a test. Imagine this life support training scenario where a student is making multiple mistakes but the teacher does not correct him because the teacher wants to see what happens and wants the student to learn from this scenario. This is perfectly acceptable as this is just a dummy. Now let's imagine if it was a real person and the student was making the same mistakes, but a real person's life was at risk. Should the teacher still keep quiet or should the teacher intervene and provide correct life support to save the person's life? I think we would all want the teacher to intervene here.
So your ridiculous question of why does God not save the child? Because God is the one who is putting us in the test. We are in the test. So God does not interfere with our test. He's not stopping us from doing something because otherwise it's not a test. So it's such a ridiculous argument with all due respect, right? I already gave you an equivalent. I hope you understood what I said.
Well, I think it's mental gymnastics that you're defining objective morality your own way there.
I try to be fit. So I play gymnastics sometimes. It's okay. It's good. I think it's healthy. Okay. Anyways, look, I'll let you go because honestly, I don't see any sincerity in this discussion, you know? So do you want to ask something quickly before I let you go? You already asked your question. Do you have another question? Quickly, I'll give you another chance. What do you have? Go ahead.
Oh, you want another question?
Yes. I'm letting you. I don't want anything, honestly. You're the one who's coming into the channel, isn't it?
Yep. But I mean, not really good one anyway. Here, how about this?
Anyways, okay, Mac, I'll let you go. Mac. You know, I hope you find sincerity one day and you actually reflect on your actions. If you're an atheist and agnostic, you shouldn't care really what Muslims believe in. If you actually were to believe, I don't know what happened to you in your life. I hope one day maybe you sit down and reflect upon reality that you're going to die one day. I'm going to die one day. And realizing whether there is truth out there, there's objective truth, there's objective reality, and what will happen to you when you die. And that's my hope for you. And that's it. And I'll let you go, Mac. We had a discussion, but I do think there's no point of proceeding further. Okay, bye, Mac.
Yeah, because you don't got good answers.
Yeah, no, I don't have good answers. Okay, I'll let people judge.
Right.
Bye. Okay, next person. He's got other reasons why he, whatever these reasons, why something happened to him in his life. He's like, I don't want to keep talking about him too much, anyways.
Given how little he seems to value this life, I wouldn't feel particularly confident that he would bother himself to come running to save a drowning person. Thank you for watching and please let me know what you think in the comments section.